to be at least 2. I'm sorry, it's got to be 2.
Let's rephrase that. What would be the 2 grapes that you guys would focus on?
Cabernet Franc and Chardonnay.
That's
at the same time, as you know, we offer more than that. One of the wines, which, you know what, quite frankly, at the beginning, and pretty much every Ontario winery has one, and we were no different than the early days. I would definitely put in there, coming up now, is Riesling. And quite frankly, we have a great clone of Riesling. We have the Weiss clone, which originates, in Germany, St. Urbanshof. The first vines were planted at Vineland Estates in the early 70s, with Hermann Weiss bringing over that clone. That's the clone that we have in our vineyard. But we made it just because you got to have a Riesling in the early days. So long story short, a few years back, I was part of the wine tasting that the Canadian wineries had at the Canada House in London, England. And, Stephen Spurrier was part of the tasting. And I had an agent, I have an agent there who said, yeah, Marcel, I see your list of samples. You got to bring a Riesling. You didn't put a Riesling down. I said, I only have like 30, 35 cases left. I'm not going to show off something that I can't sell. He said, don't worry about it. Just bring the Riesling. So we bring the Riesling again. Like, in all honesty, it was made at that time just to have a Riesling. There was no major attention paid to it. So he comes around, Stephen Spurrier comes around, and I'm, giddy as hell that I get to meet Stephen Spurrier. And he tastes all the wines, and then he tastes the Riesling, which I actually wasn't even going to pour. He says, Marcel, this is one of the best Rieslings I tasted. So unfortunately, I didn't get a rating from him. So you can tell me that this is fake news, and I have nothing to set against it. But I can tell you what it did. It put us on the track to have a more serious look at what the Weiss clone can do in our vineyards, because a lot of it, happens on the bench. If you know Niagara, some fantastic Rieslings coming from there. And I wanted to know, with my German heritage, if we have Riesling in the ground, let's really try here. So we really looked at what we could do. Part of this is our Riesling Reserve, which is, bone dry Riesling, which went against the trend that normally is in our area, which even when people call it dry, it seems to, in my mind, it's a little bit more semi-dry. This is bone dry. And then we did, in our Bella Terra series of wines, we actually released the Wild Ferment Riesling last year. And now we ended up with 90 points in the Decanter magazine. So I think Riesling has to be the third now after Cab Franc and Chardonnay. So very hard to make up my mind.
No, that's it. It's a great answer. But first and foremost, when you come across Stephen Spurrier, I understand that you get giddy and you get a little nervous and maybe sweaty palm. And this guy was, and God bless his soul, but it's very sad, the news that we got last week of his passing. But this guy was an absolute legend. So I can just picture you being sitting in your boots in Germany at Provines and having Mr. Spurrier walking by and say, hey, I want a taste of your Riesling, and you're just thinking, God's sake, this Riesling.
Well, I didn't even want to bring it. I was very nervous. I'm like, come on.
What an experience. That's pretty cool. Really, really cool. And so yes, Riesling is a big focus in Ontario. And that, for me, what stood out to me when I cracked the Riesling the first time is here, when I talk with wine lover here in Western Canada, something come up so often. The first question is how sweet this thing is.
It's very easy.
I know. And that's the thing. When I tasted it the first time, and it has a cutthroat acidity, this thing, and just like you mentioned, is bone dry. And I think that if you look at the technical sheet, the acidity level is higher than the residual sugar. So there's not even a question to ask. So bone dry, there's ginger in there. There's a nice, beautiful spice. if you're looking for something refreshing, God, like this is mouth-watering. The texture, something who stood out to me as well. I'm big on texture in wines, and this wine has a terrific texture, nice, not as thick as the German or the Alsatian Riesling, but there's definitely a beautiful, rich texture. And like we mentioned, a little beautiful spice. It's rich, it's dry, so great food.
That nice lemon rind I really like. And I talked about the
lemon in
lemons in
Sicily, right?
before. It's exactly like that. It's like you have that super ripe lemon, you bite into it with the rind, with the juicy part inside. You get a little bit of that tanginess of the rind, and then all that citrus juice from that, but like not the green lemons that we get shipped here. Like it's like super sun-ripe.
Yeah, no, it's a great Riesling. I gave it an 89 plus point, so right on the 90-point verge. It's right there. The price point is perfect, and like I mentioned, a beautiful option for food pairing, because like you're gonna have tonight with your pho, something with the spicy South Asian food. This Riesling is absolutely fantastic, but also with charcuterie and like anything like sausages, pork. Grilled meat, grilled pork on the meal on the grill is also pretty good. So, yeah, we have Vicky here. Vicky from Ontario. She said, if I order a pack, can I make a trip at the winery this weekend and pick it up?
Absolutely.
There you go. Vicky, there's one thing, and Vicky's been a big supporter of Carl's Wine Club. She's been with us since the beginning. Mira and Vicky have been exchanging cheese across the country for 6 months now. It's been pretty cool. Vicky, I have to tell you one thing. Since we started our relationship with PondView, one thing that we noticed, Mira and I, it's how big they are on customer service and how big they are to be close with people who like their wine. So I'm pretty sure that there's not going to be any problem for you to swing by the winery this weekend.
No, absolutely not.
Hey, and Marcel, let's bring me to a question to you. It's not in my plan, but talking about restriction and COVID, where do you guys have now with the health minister of Ontario? What's your rules right now heading into April 1st in a couple of weeks? So what's your tasting policies at the tasting room right now?
So Niagara is we're in the red zone, so that means restaurants and tasting bars like ours, we're allowed to have 10 people at a time inside. And in Niagara, that there's also a little rule. It has to be a maximum of 4 per table, and they have to be from the same household.
Okay.
So we are very limited, but if people want to come by, we have a reservation system right on our website at pondviewwinery.com, and you basically book your slot, and it shows you what's available for tasting. So
that's great. That's great. And what's the forecast for you guys this summer? Is there any good news in the horizon? Are you a type of guy you're looking at the news every day and say, for God's sake,
I don't look at the summer. I look at what happens tomorrow right now. So that's you know what, we've done that from the very beginning when all this happened, and it's best that we keep rolling that way. As much as, we plan for the future, but I think right now normally I plan like 6 months ahead. I think I'm almost planning a year ahead.
Yeah.
And deal with the current situation on a day-to-day basis. And when I say, there's things we plan for a year ahead is, wine releases, barrel programs, things, improvement at the winery. So those kind of bigger things. But as far as, we want to see people. I can tell you the moment the weather gets better, we are able to see more people. We have this beautiful events tent right in by the pond, hence the name PondView, in the back of the vineyard, surrounded by vines, where we did tastings all summer last year, and people loved it, sitting in the Muskoka chairs by the pond, enjoying some wine, some charcuterie. that's where we're going.
So you guys are geared up for outdoor, mostly like outdoor focus event, education, bringing people in, but staying safe, socially distanced outside. That's the strategy out there.
Correct.
Good. So Mira, oh, it's great to see you. So you know what? I know that you are a little bit in the rush tonight. You will have to bounce out at 5:45 your time, right?
No, actually, well, two things. First of all, you're frozen. Second of all, the bottle is on top of Marcel. Let's see if we can fix this. Okay.
Maybe. No, you're right in your face.
That's okay. I'll kind of lean over. I don't have to leave anymore. So we had an eye appointment, and they just called that if we want to reschedule it, they had something going on. Anyway,
they were busy watching Carl's Wine Club live on YouTube.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but hey, I missed it. Did you answer Vicky's question about the tasting room?
Yes, absolutely. We just went on in the
tasting room is open, Vicky. Please go on our website to book your tasting. I'm not there on the weekend, but my good friend and our retail manager Brent is there, and Juan, our sommelier, and I know you're going to be in great hands there. So.
Hey, Vicky, just if you're listening to me, if you see Brent this weekend, ask Brent about his pink shirt in Fort McMurray 20 years ago. 20 years ago. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, Vicky, and you will send me a messenger when you got the answer. We had a fun conversation this morning. So anyhow, so I guess that Mira is moving us forward toward tasting. I have more questions regarding the wine and the barrel program, Marcel. But before we get there, let's move on to the wine that I have open today. So I have here the Bella Terra Red blend, the 2018 vintage, and this is a blend of, I'm not sure the succession, though I'm not sure of the proportion actually here, but I think it's Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, and a splash of Malbec, isn't it? Or there's no Malbec?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Correct, right? And as per the dominant grape in there, are we Merlot dominant here?
Yeah, 44% Merlot.
There you go. Thank you.
Then it's in the 30s for Cab Franc, Cab Sauv, with the splash of the Malbec.
Perfect. So on the nose, what I get the plum. I get the ripe plum here. I get also some dirt. There's some earthiness in the middle here. I have a nice, beautiful cherry aromas and the cherry component in the middle palate. Finish very with a round, gentle tannin. There's nothing too big, nothing too extracted in here. I would say it's an elegant wine. It's not a monster. It's not a big full body. A little bit more like the 2016 Cab Franc is on the bigger body side that I felt. But my question to you before I comes back to my analysis of the wine is about the 2018 vintage. I know here back in the western part of the country, 18 was a colder vintage. Yeah. 18 was not the very well suited for big ripe fruit. So how is 2018 in the Niagara region, Marcel?
Same thing. So you see, so this is, under the Bella Terra label, has the little color strip, those wraparound labels. So this is a different line as our big reserves, like in comparison to this, for example. So what we do is that every vintage we look at, is it, what level of wine is this? And in 2018, we did not put anything in the bottles for our top end, the $40 bottle of wines for the reds, because the one thing that when we started working together, Lou, Fred, and myself sat together and said, okay, let's put out some guidelines here. The one guideline is we're not gonna put wine into a bottle only because it has sold great before. Just to keep things going. if we don't believe it, we're not gonna put it in a bottle and have it released under that top line of wine. So we basically kind of created internally our own classification system. Now, the advantage of that for the consumer is that at this price category, what you're tasting year in, year out, you're always gonna get an absolute solid bottle of wine.
And Marcel, before I let you go, like this is a $25 bottle of wine, and to me, even on the colder vintage, that tastes more like a $30 to $35 wine that I have here.
Well, we might be raising our prices if I talk any longer to you. So
hey, Marcel, if we raise the price starting on Thursday 8 p.m., I'm all about that.
We've gotten in trouble a few times now, Carl, that you keep saying these things, and yeah, we've gotten in trouble. People are like, shh.
So
stop telling them to raise the price.
I like you guys, but we're not changing the price. So no, listen, it's about having like knowing what we can pull out of these vineyards. 2011 was a terrible cold vintage. Lou and Fred made one Bella Terra Cabernet Sauvignon, and it was still I forget exactly what they call it. It's like the bronze medal, like recognized at the World Wine Decanter World Wine Awards. So even in what was really a terrible vintage, we are still able to with the right things that Lou does in the vineyard with his team, and what the barrel program that Fred chooses, we're still able to make really solid cabs. But as we had more vineyards and more things matured, and we were able to build out our bigger reserve program, we do feel that in vintages like 18, where we really can't stand 100% behind that top level, we want to offer solid wine at $25, and that's exactly what you're tasting there. So still time, and I think it was just over a year in French oak barrels, to give that nice texture. We don't work a lot with American oak, mostly French oak, because that ripeness for reds that we get in the 4 Mile Creek sub-appellation is very unique in Ontario for big reds like Cab Sauv and Cab Franc, and we want to showcase that. So that's what this wine is all about. So good vintage, not so great vintage, because that's just the reality of the business, whether you're in BC, whether you're in Germany, whether you're in California, every vintage is different. But I can tell you, in this bottle of wine at that price point, year in, year out, we're going to hit that same quality level.
And when we're talking about crops, we're talking here about a 500 kind of cases production for the 2018 red blend. Is it that kind of proportion here?
I think we're around the 800 mark. I'm not
okay.
Sure. Not 100% sure, but yeah, there's more than from our reserves. That's for sure.
Good. So what I think here, it's
if I was in my office, I could pull the paperwork. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all good. Hey, so 2018, so not so good vintage, but the wine here, it doesn't showcase any green there. No. Oh, see, boom. We have someone very good behind the scene here. 850 cases produced. Boom. Mira Boucher, you rock. No, there's nothing green in that wine. Sometimes in tougher vintage, if you focus on big red grapes, sometimes you can come up with some green component in there. There's nothing. This is ripe fruit in there. Like I said,
you know what? I'm super happy that you bring this out, because sometimes when the guy from the winery repeats it for the 100th time, it doesn't mean that much. And full disclosure, you've never really rated this wine before.
Not yet.
But it's exactly like, I know it's not the top of the line what we have, but this sums up. I don't think there's another wine red wine that sums up better what we can do in our vineyards in the heart of this 4 Mile Creek sub-appellation. So knowing that that is a challenging year, there's no greenness, because there's a lot of this perception sometimes, oh, Ontario Reds, you know, bell pepper, this and that. No. If you have that, the grapes are not ripe, and we adjust everything we do in the vineyard in order to achieve that ripeness, even in a difficult year. And if we don't like it, it doesn't go into the bottle. So that's what you have here.
No, that's what I have here, and I'm really impressed because and to be honest, I was this afternoon, I was tasting some rosé in tank at the winery in West Kelowna, and I blind tasted the winemaker with your bottle, with that bottle, and Daniel. He is a rosé genius, and he also worked with some great Zweigel here in Kelowna. He does some cool stuff as well with Cabernet Franc and Pinot Noir. And he tasted that, and he looked at me, and he said, "Whoa, this is a good wine. What's in there?" And when I said, "Okay, I can tell you, it's Merlot Cab Sauv Cab Franc," he said, and he looked at me and said, "From where?" And I said, it's from Ontario. He said, and his answer was, and excuse my language, "No shit." And he couldn't believe it. So guess what? When we're talking about perception, that's what that kind of wine who can beat these perception.
Oh, we lost the car.
Oh.
Well, we came on to, with the ammunition here to say, what is this swearing? No. Kids get so excited when you swear. I love it. It's hilarious. Are you back, Carl?
Am I here? Am I back?
You're frozen.
Am I okay?
It's just me now. Your picture is frozen.
Okay, so guess what?
Back.
I'm back. I'm going to tell Instagram here that I'm not going to be on Instagram, and I'm going to switch, and I'm going to meet you guys from my phone, okay?
Very good.
Instagram, I'm going to be back with you later, so I have to let
Sorry about this, Marcel. Normally, we have a big studio down in our basement.
That's okay. I'm ready to take over anytime.
Carl's traveling, so that's great. Well, let's get to this Bella Terra Red in a second. I can tell you my preliminary, Daryl, hotel Wi-Fi at its best. And I said, plug into the internet. He was plugged in, but I don't think, I think the computer still thought it was on Wi-Fi.
So yeah, we just went through the red, and he was telling me that he was tasting it out. He didn't tell me which winery it was yet, but that he was tasting it in BC actually with someone, and they were surprised. So that's always fun to hear.
So I know that today he did tank sampling of about 40 different barrels at Daniel Bontren's studio, and I think yesterday he was at Tender Hope. So these are all very passionate winemakers who are relatively new, and they're buying grapes, and they're sort of garagistes, right? So but they're doing wonderful stuff as winemakers. So so that's exciting to be able to sample barrels and help blend the wines. It's super fun. So he's bringing your wines around. So I think today, did you see this, Marcel? Your wines were traveling all around BC.
Oh, look at that. Oh, you're gonna have to send that to me. That's amazing.
All right, that's so there's amazing. The Okanagan. And what else did we have? Well, this is, I guess, this is where you are, right?
That's where we are. That's right.
Normally
look like that right now, but in late summer it will. That's for sure.
That's right. And then that's where the wine is today. So it's kind of fun.
So what's the next wine you have?
Oh,
there you go. I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
You're much better shape there, Carl. Yeah, than you were on your computer. So good thing we have the 5G network. There
you go. So I'm gonna have to expand. Now I'm gonna have to expand my phone bill to the business now.
Looking good. Great.
There you go.
Are we moving on to the next wine, Carl?
Yeah, wine bar. I was just telling Marcel how Daniel was impressed with the red blend when I blind tasted him, and he said it was good as shit. So when the kids got excited and get the guns out. So anyhow, yeah. So yes, by the way, Marcel, I was at Volcanic Hills. That's where I was today. And
right.
hey, Mira, do you have the pictures of?
We already looked at it. We already
Yeah?
We just looked at it. Yeah, we just did. You were
That's
at
awesome.
Volcanic Hills because that's where Daniel houses his creations, right? Like it's
Awesome.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I tasted something pretty cool this afternoon. It was a blend of Zweigel with Foch and Gamay.
Wow.
Yeah, Zweigel, Foch, and Gamay, and it was pretty
as a
good.
red or as a rosé?
No, that's as a red, and like a year in American oak where it brings like some like it was pretty cool. So anyhow,
Nice.
I wanted to mention it to you. So that's my guess. What? By the way, I give that Bella Terra the blend, the red. I give it a 90 points. I give it a 90 points due to the understanding of the 2018 vintage, the way that you guys come up with a beautiful ripe fruit, the nice round tannin. There's nothing edgy in there, so I'm really pleased with what I'm tasting here. Definitely.
Thank you, Carl.
Mira, you're up. It's your turn now to talk about the wine you have open.
I think she might be calming the Franc down.
Yeah, calm the Frank down there, Carl. That actually works really well because who was it in our Facebook group that said Merlot and popcorn go really well together? So we actually just made some fresh popcorn, and I've been trying it with the Calm the Franc Down, and it goes really nicely together. But yes, so my attempt. So guys, I did not drink wine very much until the pandemic started. And this is despite the fact that Carl, he'd have like bottles of crazy, incredible international wines at his tasting room for many years. But it just wasn't, I don't know. I just, didn't realize.
I kept the business side of it at the office for a very long time, right? And I never brought that wine thing at home. Like that was for at least
and
10
I
years.
was out at the other office, so we never really understood what Carl does. And then the pandemic hit, and we realized what Carl does. Oh, okay. I am married to this guy that like tastes wine all day. Why haven't I been trying this? So, but that's to say that I am very new to all of this. I have no formal training, so I'm telling you what an unrefined palate thinks of your wines. Okay, Marcel.
Okay, you know what, Mira? Carl, you're out. I want to see what Mira says about Calm the Franc Down because it's a funny story about that wine.
Yeah, so we'll start with what I think, and then I want to hear this story from the horse's mouth here.
Yeah, but I want to hear first what you think of this wine.
Okay. Well, so the first thing I thought was there's a little bit of earthiness.
Yeah.
It's very pleasant. So kind of my gauge is just, do I like it? Do I not? Right? If I like it, how much would I drink? Okay. If I didn't have to, worry about driving home or something.
Not how much would I pay for the bottle. No. How much would I drink? That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's right. So
this is a good scale.
So we've been joking that, if it's like if it's a one bottle wine, that's a really good wine. You want to drink the whole bottle. If it's a one glass wine, that's, it's good, but a 2 glass wine, a 3 glass wine, that's an even better wine.
There's only 5 glasses in every bottle. So come on.
That's right. And after you tell your story, we have Derek here. He wants to see me scribbling out some things on the bottle. So I will, I'll let you tell that story, and then
I'll tell you, we might have forgotten on some of the bottles. We did our best, but we might have forgotten on some of the bottles. So
that's okay. I got a marker here. I'm
perfect.
It's all good. But yeah, so really the scale on this was, that's how I do my scale. So I like it. That's for sure. And the nice thing is I don't really know anything except what I know intuitively about wine, because if I like it or not or whatever. But I've also tasted hundreds of wines with you, Carl. So
yeah.
5
So
small
remember-
glasses with this. So anyway, so what do I think of it? A bit of earthiness, and then I am getting some like dark chocolate or some kind of like ripe cherry or something like that on it. And
Hey,
then,
Marcel, she's a very good baker, and she likes to bake with dark chocolate. I knew that was coming up. I knew that was coming up. That's how she's connected.
and then I don't try to connect things while I'm just experiencing it, but what I do, like, just the first thing that comes to mind is it's very lengthy. So there you have it. That's Mira's unpretentious, unrefined palate. Where am I at with this right now? I'm definitely going to drink a glass. Because I'm home alone with the kids, I might stop there, but I would want to drink more. We'll see how much more in a bit, for sure.
Do you get a little bit of like dried fruits on there?
Yes, I do. Yeah, sort of like almost a tartness. So
hey, Mira, I would like to know how's the body of it? Would you say it's a full body wine? Is it a medium body wine? How's the?
I'd say it's medium to full. I don't know.
Okay.
What would you call it? It's definitely not, like it's definitely got body.
It's more than medium.
It's not like some of the really strong stuff. Yeah, we've tried some really strong stuff lately, but
it's on the low end of full bodied and on the high end of medium bodied, somewhere in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a combination of some of our old vines with some of the younger stuff. A little bit more back in there. Merlot, Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, Malbec, and we have a little bit, and I don't have it in front of me, but a very small percentage of Cab Appassimento blended in. And it was a project. Listen, I one day in our travels, Lou and I do the international trade shows when traveling was still a thing. And I don't know, I get ideas in the morning under the shower, and we had just probably some heated conversation, and I in my mind I was like, just calm that, F down. And then I had this honestly, I had this idea like 4 years ago. I wanted to put this on a label, and then I was always too chicken to do it. And then 2020 hit, and Fred was playing around with this blend. And this wine, by the way, is this is the last little bit. I think we're down to the last 30, 40 cases of this. We made it for our wine club members only, for PondView wine club members. And I was like, you know what? If there's ever a year, it's the year we're gonna call it Calm the Franc Down. And we created little glasses with it, and it just took off, and people loved the wine. Obviously there's the label, but then people love the wine. Now, story with the label. Now, everyone that's gonna be ordering it, just in case, because this wine is not VQA, but it says VQA on the label, and has nothing to do with the quality of the wine inside. 100% from our vineyards, like everyone else, all the other wines from our vineyard. But let's just say, and I don't want to go into too much detail because we love VQA wines, and we're a VQA house all the way through, but in typical 2020 fashion, a little bit of miscommunication on their part, and the labels were printed with approval, and turns out that then things changed, and I got a notification after the label were printed that these wines are not VQA. So, and has everything to do with the name and nothing to do with the wine inside. And I don't want anyone to get upset at VQA Ontario because you don't know the full story, and I'm not going to be sharing it here. But just in case that we missed scratching out VQA on some of the bottles, everyone that's ordering a bottle is getting a black marker to scratch it out or to scratch it out more. And feel free to decorate the bottle and then send me some, me or Carl, send some pictures of what you do and how you scratch out this wine, because it's a great wine. And now that we screwed it up on the label side, we're just having some fun with it. And the surprise here that I told you about, Carl, because we're making people maybe work, maybe it's scratched out, maybe it's not. We tried our best, but there might be bottles that are not scratched out because, we try our best. Anyway, I'm including everyone that orders a bottle of, at least a bottle of Cab Franc, is getting 2 of these Calm the Franc Down glasses in their pack when we ship it out.
What?
Yes.
Oh, that is awesome. That is pretty cool. That is awesome. Wow. I can tell. I've been saying, Mira, since the day that you came up with that proposal with the disc. Oh, look at that. Oh, that is awesome. So you get a discount, almost $20 discount on the regular price. You got free shipping across the country, and you get free tumbler glass. So that is, yeah, that's amazing.
And you know what, Carl? I think I should tell people, and I should tell you the reason why we do that. What you're doing, what you guys are doing, is the future of the wine world in Canada, and quite frankly, it's the best way for me to reach out to more people in this great country to show what we do, because not everybody, whether it's COVID or not everybody has the opportunity to travel all the way down to Niagara and to specifically visit us. And we fully recognize that. And I want to support you guys 100% of what you are doing. And by proxy, all the people that, you're entertaining and that you're bringing value to by sharing your knowledge with them. It's the same thing, whether they're paying for a trip to come down to Niagara or we're coming halfway and meet them in the middle by offer free shipping for these wines and have some fun with these glasses. I think COVID or not, this is the new way that is going to shape the wine world in this country, and we're really happy to be part of it. So I guess in a way that's our way to show our appreciation for what you guys are doing.
And Marcel, I think it's been a perfect match made in heaven, because you guys are forward thinking, you guys, and we've seen it with the success of the offer since we started on Monday. It's unprecedented what we've seen in the wine club. And something that I would like to tell people from Calgary, that I talked with Marcel this morning. It maybe it's about the wine dinner that we're doing with the Delta Marriott, and I'm thinking of for May 15, our last one of the season, that I would like to feature PondView Bella Terra Vineyard at the wine dinner that night. So because you guys are so awesome, and you guys are like have distribution in Alberta on the retail level, so it will be absolutely wonderful to have you on the screen at the Marriott Delta with a beautiful 5-course dinner featuring your wine. I think it will be absolutely perfect.
Thank you.
No, that's amazing. So I'm just seeing Mira here topping up her glass. So we are over a 90-point wine here, that's for sure. If I get some text message from my 12-year-old a little later, said, "Dad, we need help here," that's mean it's close to a 93 points.
I'll tell you my trick for people like me, the uninitiated in the wine world. I eat a lot of protein with my wine, so then you just feel really nice. You don't get like tipsy or anything. You gotta have a protein.
Water,
And some water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just
And
feel happy. It's all good.
hey, that's awesome. So I really like I haven't had a chance to taste the Calm the Franc Down, but obviously we can see Mira really enjoy the wine here. Before we end up, I would like to talk quickly about the 2016 Cabernet Franc and the 2016 Cabernet Sauvignon, because we're talking about a great vintage. 2016, I know in the western part of the country, 16 was a great vintage. I don't know the detail about the Ontario vintage for 2016, but for me, when I tasted the 2016 Cabernet Franc, Bella Terra, it tells me that there is a warmer vintage there, because the wine, the fruits are ripe, the tannin are round, the wine is fuller body. There's some weight in there. There's a higher percent of alcohol, I feel, but well managed and well balanced. So in other words, we're having a big boy Cabernet Franc with the 2016 vintage. I rated it 93 points when I tasted it in January. I was over the moon. It's changed my perception of Ontario Cabernet Franc. To me, what I tasted before from Ontario on the Cab Franc level was a little bit more like the Loire Valley, was a little bit more on the earthy side, medium body, light usage of oak, not a whole lot of spice at the end. This wine absolutely changed my perception. It was bigger, bolder, fuller body, more masculine, more muscular, and a boatload of dark cherry, chocolate, coffee grind, and spice. So, Marcel, what's your take on that 16 Cab Franc? I don't know if I'm the only one on my team here thinking that it's a big boy, but what's your take on that?
You're right. And you know what? There was, we had it entered in the All Canadian Wine Championships, and when our big Reds win the medals alongside the BC Reds, which are much different climate very different climate for Reds than what we have. It's very exciting, and I think by that statement you can see that I have a lot of respect for the big Reds that come from BC. And when we win from Ontario, that we win gold medals alongside that now for a few years, that's really exciting stuff. And I can tell you, it has, like with every wine, there's multiple factors that play into it. Yeah. So yes, absolutely, 2016 blockbuster vintage, super hot year, and to the point that on some days it was too much. I remember in my car showing sometimes over 40 degrees Celsius.
Oh my God!
Listen, it was a hot year. Now 2020, same thing. Super hot year. It's gonna be another great blockbuster vintage. But like I mentioned before, even in the cooler vintages, so where we talk about 15, we talk about 14. Actually, we cracked open a 14 and a 15 today, and we were just kind of comparing where we're going. And I want to ask you about your opinion on this wine, because we just had this conversation today. The usage of oak. So we kind of toned down over the years a little bit about the amount of absolutely brand new oak that we use, because we just found that from our vineyards you get that really nice ripe juicy fruit if you do the right things in the vineyards, if you let them hang enough. I mean, 13 cooler vintage, we let the grapes hang way into the end of November, and it started snowing on the same day that we harvested for our regular red. So sometimes it just takes that long. But we've toned down over the years. We've toned down a little bit of that oak, just to showcase more of the fruit. And so that's what this is, probably the lightest amount of oak that we have done over the years in this 2016 vintage, because the fruit itself was already showing so well. But I would say, as a general statement, and that's when early on you asked me what are the couple of grapes that absolutely are our top performers. Even in a challenging year, I tell you, Cab Franc does extremely well. And you tasted it in that Bella Terra Red, which, yeah, granted, was a blend, but still a significant amount of Cab Sauv and Cab Franc in there, amounting to almost 60%. And now this 16 vintage, 100% Cabernet Franc, yeah, that's the stuff that gets me excited and that we're happy to show overseas. Also got a silver medal in Berlin at the International Wine Show there, and that's what I like to show off at international trade shows, to what comes from our little spot in Niagara.
Well, you know what? That's, to me, that's what's after tasting the 2019 Chardonnay Surly, where I absolutely fell in love with the brand, and I tasted that 16 Cab Franc Bella Terra. It told me there was some versatility in that winery, and it told me that you guys can produce the big red the right way. And tonight it just confirmed when I'm drinking the 18 red, and then I'm tasting something ripe in the challenging vintage. But that 16 Cab Franc was, to me, eye-opening on the potential of producing bigger grape varietal in your region, and you guys nailed it absolutely. And it shows in the award that you guys are winning across the pond, or locally or nationally. Because the list is pretty long, and it's like for Mira and I, it's an absolute pleasure to showcase your product, because we know that every bottles are a top quality bottle. So we're really happy with what we're tasting tonight.
So what do you think of, if you remember when you tasted it recently here, the level of that fruit versus, you know, the tannins and the integration with the oak? What do you feel? Is this where you like to see it?
You know, I was surprised, because I felt like I was drinking more something from Oliver Osoyo's region. It was completely different than the other style of lighter Cabernet. So it was shocking in a sense, but also it was pleasant, because I appreciate Loire Valley. I appreciate what they do, but it's not necessarily something that gets me excited. And I think they're a little bit boring in stylistically. But this style, to me, brought me like, wow, the tannin were more grippy. Obviously, the higher percentage of alcohol was making like a heavier style of wine. But there's something that we find in Ontario, hot vintage or cold vintage, is the level of acidity. And the acidity is maintained in these grapes. That's what strikes me. Even in a very hot vintage, you guys preserve the acidity level. So it brings a freshness in a big body wine. And the spice just makes it, the spice and the little coffee flavors in there in the mid palate brought an extreme complexity that I thought that was never seen before. So, yeah.
Okay, I guess we won't change a thing then.
I hope not, because it gives you an edge on. Obviously, Mother Nature is going to keep throwing curveball at you if you think that they're going to make it easy every year on you. If you think that 2020 is the norm now, you better
no, absolutely not.
You've been in that industry long enough to understand that
those are the exceptions.
Absolutely, no. But in all seriousness, the style to me gives you an edge, because of what I'm thinking is there's enough medium body Cabernet Franc in Ontario, and some of them are same old. In the same time, they're stylistically, they look all the same. And what you came up with, that it was like boom, there you go. Now we got the big boy of them all. So to me, it was like, wow, okay, we got a winner here.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, I like that, and yeah, and like you said, like if you have the potential and the option of playing a little bit more with oak in tougher vintage to keep that style, it's a joker in your back pocket, because you know that you can keep that level keep that same level even in a little bit of a colder vintage. So yeah.
Well, Vicky has a question. Am I allowed to answer it?
Absolutely.
So, Vicky, that's a very good question. So, why did the Bella Terra label change? Well, it faded into the background in a lot of restaurants that wanted to carry it. And Lou and I were sitting at the bar in a restaurant, and we couldn't find our own wine in the back of the bar. So we started the conversation of, yeah, things need to be updated. And Lou really wanted to bring in his heritage, you know, and remember, you know, where how his parents started out, and the roots to Sicily. So first of all, Bella Terra, beautiful earth, beautiful land. That's what Lou's parents called the area around us and their farm, and so that stuck. And then the design on the label that you see, in the core, it has a sun, which is of course very important part in growing anything, but especially growing grapes. And we styled it after the tiles that you see in the Mediterranean, and specifically in Italy and in Sicily. So if you look at tile work, we know we wanted to keep it very modern, very clean, but we wanted to integrate that old tradition of the tiles that you really see on every house as you go through the villages. You know, whether it's on the doorstep as you go into the house, or it's on the walls, usually highlighted with some flowers. You can find the same thing like all around the Mediterranean. And we just try to come up with the design that kind of stylizes this and puts this like nicely clean on a label. So that's how we came up with the change.
Every detail counts when it's time of for marketing, and these little things make a lot of difference. That's for sure.
I'm giving away all the secrets today, Carl.
Hey, that's how open you are. We feel very privileged. I love it. Hey, let's finish it up with the Cab Sauv, because when you look at the list of awards that you guys have brought home from the 2016 vintage, that's the gold medal at the All Canadian Wine Championship for that 2016 Cabernet Sauvignon. We have like a healthy over 90% of Cab Sauv, a splash of Merlot in there, and I tasted it Sunday night before flying out on Monday morning here. I just wanted to make sure that I have a good idea of the flavor profile of the Cab Sauv. And again, 16 warm vintage. We have ripe fruit in there. And please tell me how many Cabernet Sauvignon with that high of a percentage of Cab Sauv have you drank in your life from Ontario with that level of ripeness? To me, it was the first time. A 90+% Cabernet Sauvignon in one bottling at that level of ripeness. I've rarely seen that, because usually I will find a little bit of a green aspect in there, or you need to blend a good 10 to 12% of Merlot or something else to round up the edge, because it can be pretty edgy. And no, there's none of that. It's pretty fluid. I love the balance of it. It's not over. You didn't have to overuse the oak, and the black currant was fun. There's a little bit of graphite, which took me to the old world for a second. Yeah. So it was fun to discover.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're going for. Exactly the same thing. So we really use, like, we go in thirds. So we have a third of like newer oak barrels, a third of like second, third use, and a third of more neutral oak barrels. Just, you know, to get the structure in there. Mostly French oak. I think in 16 it was pretty much all of it was French oak, but that to really tone down, not to over oak it, but still have that body there, like still have the structure there of course, some of those toasted notes that you get from the oak, little bit of spice, but then just showcase what that fruit can do. And that especially in the 16 vintage, really wanted to take that opportunity to show people what that little 4 Mile Creek sub-appellation in the heart of the peninsula can do. And I think Fred, I can't claim any of this. I think Lou and Fred, as that combination of vineyard and winemaking, and to be able, like for us, and I've seen it, you know, with bigger wineries. For us as a smaller wineries, we can really time it to the day, to the hour when we harvest the grapes. You know, when we think that the sugars are there, that the acidity is still there, and that's when we go and we get the crew out there. And this is all hand harvested, pre-selected. We thin out the bunches before ripening even, so some green cropping. And I think these wines really showcase what we can do in our
there's definitely a purity of the fruit in the Cab Sauv. Yeah, if I have to, I mentioned it in my tasting notes as well, that pure fruit of Cab Sauv, that usually from that region, sometimes you have to blend enough of other kind of grape that you lose that Cabernet typicity, right?
Yes.
That little graphite that I mentioned, and like that you don't always get, that pencil lead you don't always get. And to me, it's so typical of that beautiful Cabernet grape, and you still get it with you because you maintain that healthy 92-93% of Cabernet. So yeah, well done. And not
all these top end wines, by the way, we it says on the label, right, when you get the wines, we don't filter them before bottling. Like the Cab Franc, the Cab Sauv, our Meritage, all the big stuff, that's all bottled unfiltered.
Well done, guys. Great job. I know I took a little bit more of your time tonight. I appreciate how generous you're with your knowledge, with your time. And I have a feeling that it's not the end of a relationship between Carl's Wine Club and PondView Bella Terra Vineyard, because we're sharing a lot of similar future views, a lot of similarity in our business model, and you guys are forward thinking. We like to think that we are too. So I would like to thank you, and I know that we're going to keep working together for a while. I know that for a fact.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Mira.
Well, thank you. I have to show you my artwork, okay? So I've been doodling.
Beautiful.
Right? What do you think? And
oh, even on the top. There you go. Puts it over the top.
Like,
we're gonna have to fly you out and do all the artwork on all the bottles before we ship them out.
Maybe we need a little competition in the VIP group for Carl's Wine Club here. You know, you post your picture of your artwork, okay? And there will be special prizes.
There you go. And Marcel, make sure we will publish the road of the Bella Terra Red blend across Western Canada as well. So this bottle might follow us down south again later because Mira's joining us. Is joining me at the end of the week with the boys. So we're going to spend another 10 days later, and we're going to visit different people. I want to tell you that Friday, I'm bringing the Chardonnay Surly to the Summerhill Winery to taste it with the CEO and the winemaker, because I know that Michael is passionate about Chardonnay. So I'm thinking the 19th Surly made the trip with me, and I'm taking it to Summerhill to do a little tasting with the guys at Summerhill.
That's awesome.
Thanks for your time, brother. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Hey, enjoy the rest of enjoy your fall, okay?
Take care, buddy.
Take care.
Ciao, ciao. Bye.
Mira Boucher.